ग्राम्यम् पुण्यम् महत्यच्च सुष्ट्युत्पादनकारकम् वेदवृक्षोद्भवन् नित्यम् तत्पुण्याहम् ब्रुवन्तु नः पुण्याहम् भवन्तु ब्रुवन्तु अस्तु पुण्याहम् अस्तु पुण्याहम् अस्तु पुण्याहम् पृथिव्यामुद्धृतायान्तु यत्कल्याणम् पुराकृतम् ऋषिभिः सिद्धगन्धर्वैः तत्कल्याणम् ब्रुवन्तु नः कल्याणम् भवन्तु ब्रुवन्तु अस्तु कल्याणम् अस्तु कल्याणम् अस्तु कल्याणम् सागरस्य यथा वृद्धिर्महालक्ष्म्यादिभिः कृता सम्पूर्णा सुप्रभावा च ताम् च ऋद्धिम् ब्रुवन्तु नः ऋद्धिकर्माणि भवन्तु ब्रुवन्तु कर्मऋध्यताम् 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 स्वस्तिस्तु या विनाशाख्या पुण्यकल्याणवृद्धिदा विनायकप्रिया नित्यम् ताम् च स्वस्तिम् ब्रुवन्तु नः स्वस्ति भवतु ब्रुवन्तु आयुष्मते स्वस्ति आयुष्मते स्वस्ति आयुष्मते स्वस्ति समुद्रमथनाज्जाता जगदानन्दकारिका हरिप्रिया च माङ्गल्या ताम् श्रियम् च ब्रुवन्तु नः श्रीरस्तु इति ब्रुवन्तु अस्तु श्रीः अस्तु श्रीः अस्तु श्रीः भो ब्राह्मणाः मह्यम् सह कुटुम्बिने महाञ्जनान् नमस्कुर्वाणाय आशीर्वचनम् अपेक्षमाणाय लक्ष्मीप्राप्ति आख्यस्य कर्मणः पुण्याहम् भवन्तु ब्रुवन्तु अस्तु पुण्याहम् अस्तु पुण्याहम् अस्तु पुण्याहम् ओ
can sleep.
October 23rd, 1983. Ring any bells? For the majority of you, probably not. You'll probably remember December 7th, 1941, or September 11th, 2001. However, October 23rd, 1983 is just as significant in our country's history, as well as our cores. Many argue it's the day the War on Terror truly began. It was a Sunday morning, and just like many Sundays, the Marines were enjoying a couple extra hours of sleep during their deployment to Beirut, Lebanon. Dave Medeiros was a private first class who had just finished up his motor transport course. His final test was scheduled for Monday.
I woke up at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. We were in a GP tent sleeping on cots, and I looked around and I was like, man, all these guys are still sleeping. And probably for one of the first times in my life, I chose to go back to sleep versus eat, which is a rare occasion. I don't do that often.
HM3 Mark Hakala was serving as a platoon hospital corpsman with Bravo Company, positioned on the southern end of the airport.
I hadn't been to sleep for terribly long, and so I was pretty down and out.
Major Bob Jordan was the Marine spokesman for the 24th Marine Amphibious Unit. He was with his crew in these fire truck bays not far from the BLT headquarters.
About 6 o'clock I woke up my normal time. I could see the sun shining through the bullet holes in the corrugated door of the fire bay door where we slept. So I rolled away from the door and pulled my Snoopy blanket up over me to catch a few more winks.
Greetings to the families of Battalion Landing Team 1-8.
Lieutenant Colonel Larry Gerlach, the commanding officer of 1-8, was in the BLT headquarters. It was both his command post and his barracks. Around 6:20 a.m., everything changed. PFC Medeiros was no longer sleeping under a tent. Petty Officer Hakala and Major Jordan were now wide awake. Colonel Gerlach was no longer in the BLT building. What was the largest non-nuclear explosion on the planet had just wiped the building out. A 12,000-pound explosion that would ring for decades. America lost 241 Marines, sailors, and soldiers in the rubble that day. Terrorists finally landed a powerful hit.
That's their playbook. They built their playbook over time. And I would call it like a cult who is following an ideology, and they're building their playbook based on how we respond to certain things. And I mean, they're taking notes.
When the Marines pulled out in 1984, Osama bin Laden and many others were watching. They had tested us militarily. They had tested us spiritually. They had tested us politically.
America's defensive playbook was rewritten, but the punches kept rolling. Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia, USS Cole in Yemen, 9/11.
The prevent defense prevents nothing. And if that's the posture we want to take in the United States, okay, I'd like to ask the people that think that way to come down to Jacksonville and stand there next to a mother who lost one of their kids in Beirut and explain to her how we should take a preventative posture.
And that armed attack against the United States of America should...
With September 11th, the extremist agenda had an exclamation point, and the U.S. launched combat operations in what is now known as the Global War on Terror. But Beirut